Welcome back to the Coffee Show, everyone. I am joined by the head of, I guess, the leadership team of the Australian Specialty Coffee Association. So we've got here Bruno. I can't pronounce your surname. Mayolo, Jennifer Abella, and Emiline Giroux.
Beautiful. Look at that.
How are we, everyone?
Amazing.
Great.
I think it was. I really wanted to have you guys on because just recently concluded the national tour, if you like, of the Community Coffee Championships. So this is a new format being trialled in Australia. And if you're overseas and you're wondering why this applies to you, I think if you have a chapter of the Specialty Coffee Association in whatever country you're listening from, you should take note of what's kind of happened here in Australia this time around, because I think it was the best format of regional competitions that we've ever had, and I think that was a consensus view among various people at the show, and I think we'll talk a bit more about that and how that sort of serves producing world champions, and not just that, but creating a really strong coffee industry here in Australia, which other people can do abroad. So, Bruno, you're the president of the Australian Specialty Coffee Association.
I am.
How long have you been doing that for?
Oh, president now. It's probably 4 years, going on 5.
4?
Yeah.
Who was the president before you? I thought you'd been the president for like 10 years.
I've been on the board for a large number of all of its existence, to be honest, in different capacities. But Kieran Westlake was before me.
Uh-huh. And our 2 deputies here, so Jennifer Abella. So is that both your titles, the deputies?
No. So we've actually got like a big board. So we've got a vice president, David Seng. We've got a secretary, Mel Kaya. We've got Chris, who is in Queensland on the treasury position. I was going to say money position, but that's what it is. So we've got Alec Marush and Zindy Hugh, who are part of our ordinary members. And then we've got Roasters Guild and Barista Guild, I guess. But there's nobody on our team that does more or less than anyone we're putting in. And, I think we're a big team of doers, really.
It's an entirely volunteer-run organisation.
Absolutely.
So, and I think it's not really well understood that that's how the association runs. And I think in times, I'll be honest, I've been open to criticize. I've been sometimes that guy, but then as I matured, it's like, and then see how the association runs a bit more. Practically how I actually see it is like, well, you're very constrained with your resources, and I think the fact that competitions happen at all is kind of a miracle, and also. But I do feel like that there's so much room to grow as well. And I think what just happened was a very positive step. So who wants to take a stab at explaining what the Community Coffee Championships were? So they were our regional qualifiers, and how they came about. So
I'll have a crack since it was my brainchild, I suppose.
Yeah, that's your shame.
Okay, so competitions have become very elitist in terms of our ASCA competitions, whether it be regional or national events. So given that scenario, we don't have new talent coming into the fray. We don't have new judges coming into the fray as well. So there's 2 parts to this whole equation. There's the competitors and there's also judges that we have to have these competitions run, as well as a team to actually administer the competitions. So to bring it back to grassroots is where we needed to go. So having seen those problems where we weren't getting any more people coming into the competition set, we needed to come up with a system that would allow a lower barrier to entry for competitors and judges alike, and also provide a platform for anyone to have a go that was accessible to them, that wasn't daunting, that wasn't as scary as our competitions have become, because our competitions are scary. If you're someone, in the back blocks of nowhere here in the city pulling some shots and think you're going to go into a competition and go up against our, 1, 2 and 3, there's pretty much no chance of you getting anywhere near that. So you just don't try. You just don't get involved. So the community coffee champs were literally bringing it back to grassroots, taking away all the toys and all the fancy stuff and bringing it down to actual skills. There are people working in Melbourne and every other capital city who are exceptional baristas and have amazing skills, but they're not coming into the competition set because it's too daunting. So this new community coffee champs was literally, we'll provide all the equipment for you, bring along a bag of coffee and your skills, and you can have a crack. And if you have a crack and you're good enough, you can progress to nationals. So in a way, for seasoned competitors and people who've done it before, it was, oh, no, this is not going to be any good. We had so much pushback. No, you're squashing innovation and all sorts of things were thrown at us. And I'm like, they fundamentally missed the point of this. If you're a good barista and you have great skills, or brewer or latte artist or any of the other disciplines, you will progress. It's a simple thing. And when you get to nationals, the thing is, your skills will see you through. Yes, you're going to have exceptional coffee. Everyone's going to have exceptional coffee. So what sets you apart? There's not going to be a bad coffee on the top 6 table. So what sets you apart? It's your skills. This is going back to actual barista skills. So if your skills are up to scratch, you bring a good coffee, you got every chance of being top 6.
Well, let's break down how it sort of operated in the 3 categories. So we've got latte art, brewer's cup, and barista. So starting with barista, we went the espresso and the milk course, omitted the signature course just for this event. And then instead of using, like a big heavy machine, you got 2 Eagle One Primas from Black Eagle. And then it was a lot of the rules were the same after that. But I mean, in terms of accessibility, I think it's easier to get an Eagle One Prima than it is to get, an Astoria Storm Barista Attitude or whatever. So was that kind of the intention there?
The intention was literally to reduce our requirement in terms of power, because it's very hard to find venues to have enough power for us to run 4, 5, 6 machines, because we've got a lot of things going on at the same time. So that's always very restrictive on us. So using Eagle Ones was easy because they're all 10 amp machines. You can get 10 amps anywhere pretty much. So that was one of the considerations, which made it easier for us operationally as well to actually put the show on. And they had the same performance as a commercial machine anyway. We give them 2 of those, it's the same as having a 2 group, except there's 2 1 groups. So it worked really well in terms of us being able to put the show on, gave us more options with regards to the venues we could actually use, because that's a big consideration for us when we're actually looking at competitions. There was no difference. You had 4 groups if you wanted them. So there was no real difference for the competitors. They still had effectively a 2-group machine available if they wanted it to, and they can then just work out how they wanted to. Some people wanted to use only one of the machines. Some of them used 2 of them. Some of them used one to steam. Some of them used one to pull their shots on. It was really go back to it, look at what you've got available to you, work out with your skills how you can then put on the best show or the best performance and highlight your coffee. Off you go. So they were the 2 considerations. One was literally logistics and operations, and one was to still give them the opportunity, because we've reduced the time frame, right? So they're only like 10 minutes. So they still need to be able to pour 4 coffees at once effectively to save a bit of time, rather than having a one group with 2 shots at a time. So it really shouldn't have hampered them in terms of their flow, but it was made our life more operationally easy to put these shows on around the country with little input in terms of infrastructure in the venues that we were able to source.
And so Jen and Emily, how do you think practically it went with the barista category?
I think one of the coolest things that Bruno touched on is that it's not just the barriers for the competitors to jump in. It was all of the barriers that we identified. So sitting down, designing this competition, it was, what are the barriers to us running the event? What are the barriers to people coming into the event? And how do we get people engaged, right? With sponsors, volunteers, the whole 9 yards, because we've got to remember we've got subcommittees across Australia that we're activating for the first time. These people have come to comps and been involved in comps, but they've never organised this. So it was essentially a barista competition in a box, which I've totally taken the tagline off Bruno there. But the whole plan was, this goes to you. We give you all the tools to activate it. We support you when you do activate it, and that allows competitors to engage. So we learnt a lot. I mean, I'll be really honest, one reason that we came up with this concept is because we're actually quite good as an association at knowing our barriers and getting over them. And every comp, something got taken off as a barrier until the one that you got to come to.
And mind you, you're all working full-time in your regular jobs as well. And
Absolutely.
do this on the side. So did you have anything to add to that, Emmy?
No, totally. I mean, obviously, first competition in Queensland, there were things that worked, things that didn't work, but every time we tried to make it better. And I think that's been the strength of the association the whole year, is like, okay, that didn't work. what do we do better next time, and making sure the committee of the next state was aware of that, and how do we support them in that. So I think Victoria, obviously, it's in Melbourne. It was beautiful to put on a show like this. We had Coffee Weekend with us as well. That was absolutely incredible. But I think because we've learned from 3 previous other competitions, that was a great show, and we'll be able to have everything work out, and that was amazing.
Well, and I think with the barista category as well, it's kind of sad to see that the level of participation has dropped. And obviously you guys have identified it as a bit of an issue, and it's like, well, and this is what I kind of mean about, having that grassroots, being able to identify what's happening at the grassroots to be able to have these baristas competing and feeling comfortable being able to do so. And it's good that you've identified that, and I think you've taken a positive step. Barista is probably the hardest one to get right. Because there's just more infrastructure needed. And even though you've lowered the requirements for machines and stuff, it's still not the easiest to get access to a coffee machine as opposed to a V60 brewer or an origami brewer or something like that.
Oh yeah, look, it's always going to be the case. We did set up, Simonelli Group did assist us in that space, so we did actually set up a practice station before comps in all of the regions at a remote location that they could access. So we had that available at every step, because we already identified that as, people may not want to get or don't have that equipment, and they want to taste their coffee or get familiar with it before they get on stage. So we did provide those opportunities in all of the regional events, which was to calm the nerves a little bit and get them to taste their coffees and be familiar with the equipment before they went up on stage. So that was a positive as well. Using the VA Primas was also, that was a little bit easier to organise. And you're rightly so. As you point out, the barista participation rates have been falling, but we've always been top heavy for the last sort of 5 or 6 years. We have extremely good top 3 tier competitors or 4 competitors. So this is an opportunity now where we can then build on this, because what most people did was sit back and watch. And I tried to explain the concept and the vision in the AGM back last year, but I don't think anyone got it. And until we put this thing on, no one got it. As soon as we did the first one in Brisbane, one of the competitors came to me afterwards and said, "This is the best comp we've ever had." And these were competitors who've competed before, and they recognised it straight away. The first timers didn't, obviously, because they've never competed under the old sort of system. So it immediately said, okay, I'm on the right track. Yes, we had learnings, and what we did was we improved at every step. But that participation rate, after we've done all of our regionals and at the moment, I expect thoroughly will increase in year 2. And that's what the goal was for us. We said, look, we're going into this blind. It's a new concept. People don't get it. We're getting lots of questions which, we don't really have the answers to, and they can't see the vision because the vision was mine, which is fine. I said, once we put it on, people will understand. And it has happened. And we've built community. For the first time, we've got competitors out the back sharing, making their own coffee, sharing it with each other, talking about their coffees. They wouldn't even talk to each other under the previous scheme. And at every regional competition, you go out the back in the competitor room, and they're all, because we had a brewing station out the back for them, and they're all brewing their own coffee and just passing it out, and they're all sitting around there talking, discussing about their coffees openly. I'm like, yes, takeaway moment, that's it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people that might listen to this podcast, for example, and they're not familiar with the scene, like, these things are competitive. Like, people put
So much.
and it can get bitchy behind the scenes. Like, it really is. But I think you took a massive leap forward with barista. And next, I'd like to talk about latte art. So we'll finish on brewers, but latte art. And latte art, I kind of feel like it's actually the most skilled discipline of all of the competitions, in my opinion. It's like with brewers and with baristas, you're kind of calibrating machinery to give you a certain outcome. But with latte art, you're using your own skills that, like, no machine can give you. You just have to practice that. And, we've got such a high standard now in Australia as well. So, we got, I just interviewed Lance Hedrick, and he said in 2017, I think it was, he made more money winning latte art SmackDowns than he did from working 3 or 4 jobs.
Yep.
Let's say he traveled the country just winning SmackDown after SmackDown after SmackDown.
We have one of those competitors here in Victoria.
Yeah.
Jimmy?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
She just wins everything. So
Every time I hit her up on that, she goes, I have to pay for nappies.
Yeah.
I'm like, fair enough.
No, she's probably put an extension on her
Yeah,
house.
at least.
But
She built a new one for the amount she's won.
yeah, but again, like I really respect our latte artists, and we just had Mingwan go and represent us at the World. And
Awesome.
And how was that dude with a baby that just walked up to the stage
I
during
didn't
it?
see it until you posted it.
Oh, well-
and then I watched the stream back, and I was sitting there like a hawk on this stream the whole time, and I didn't see him.
So for anyone that's wondering what we're talking about, so there's a stage there that the general public are not supposed to access.
It was a proper stage.
It was a proper
It was a
stage.
real stage.
It was a real stage.
Yeah, you didn't
And
just
then-
walk onto it.
And this guy just rocked up with his baby, walked up right next to the judges and thought he'd have a gander.
and their score sheets.
And their
Looking
score-
over.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he was just bemused by it all. But in any fact, I think Latte, was everything kind of the same? Like, I don't understand how Latte usually works.
There
but
were changes.
Yeah, so what were they?
So the main one was that we've opened up to alternative milks. So and that was the same with the barista category. So the main thing that we're trying to do is meet baristas where they're at now and keep the industry current to where we're at now, which is alternative milk.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see the caliber of somebody working with some of those more challenging milks when they do pull something out like that. And I think further to your point, I'm the most impressed by latte art. And the main reason is because you are so nervous.
Yeah.
That is something where your body immediately reacts by shaking the minute that you put your hand up to call time. And the precision that people are able to come out with is incredible. And we saw a really good participation rate this year in latte art,
Oh, yeah.
which is awesome. And people got out there and had a great go and came back off stage feeling like they'd achieved something, whether that was the results that they wanted or the fact that they've proved to themselves that they can do it. Because further to your point, I couldn't do it. Even if I was the most incredible latte artist in the whole world, I get nervous.
It takes an incredible amount of skill to be able to
Yeah.
compete in that and,
Yeah.
and do well. Like I used to work with, Shinsaku Fukuyama from.
So did I once upon a time. Yeah.
So he the amount of training that he did was just absurd. Like he stayed back after work all the time just to focus, and he wouldn't drink, he wouldn't smoke or anything because it would affect his shaking and stuff like that. Like the level of dedication is extremely high. And, some people must listen to this and they're like, I don't know, football fans or boxing fans and, hear someone applying themselves so much to a coffee competition. But I kind of feel excited by this because I think one day coffee competitions will be really well respected in society. They're not now, not because people disrespect it, just because it's like not really on people's radar.
Yeah.
But I think one day us doing things like this, having conversations, telling stories about competitors and things like that will all build up to that one day that it's actually like something that's quite well viewed.
Absolutely.
So, and we're already kind of seeing that at the world level. Like you look at the last two winners, Borum, the World Barista
Yeah.
Championship and Mikhail, like they're superstars. Like,
Yeah.
they've got endorsement deals and stuff like that. They've done really well out of it. But let's finish with going through the categories, Brewers. And this is the one,
Yeah.
this is the one that it's actually in recent years overtaken everything to be like kind of like the premier event in the Australian coffee scene because, obviously the participation's lower in barista, but there's so many people that want to compete in Brewers. It's like, it's like trying to buy a Taylor Swift ticket. You got to be logged on. You got to like the amount of people that want to do it's extremely high. And this is the one that I think you got the most correct because
Thank you.
I was very skeptical going into it. But then seeing it all play out was really interesting. So basically it was almost like a compulsory round where you brought your own coffee, right? So
Correct.
everyone had a selection of cups they could use. There was 2 cups. There was brewers from either Cafec or Origami. Everyone had to use the same water, which was supplied by Pentair.
Yep.
And then
Grinder.
grinder by Option O, which was really good. And then the
Fellows kettles.
fellow kettles, and then a selection of a few papers as well. But you got to bring your own coffee, and I think the results this year in the Australian scene were really shocking to a lot of people because a lot of competitors that have finished in the top 3, top 6, even won the competition previously. The national competition, they didn't make it through. So on one hand, it's like you take some of these things away from people and like you see what they really have. And, I don't know what happened on the day in particular. I didn't read the score sheets, but the results were really, really fascinating. And for me, I emceed on the day, and I could immediately tell from the second competitor that there's going to be some upsets, just on presence alone. So you had that Marcus Tang kid, and then you had the winner, David Flood, and then throughout the day, all the other competitors, my boy Alex Moore, who came third.
Yeah, buddy.
And, all these people that had these really interesting new routines that just really excelled. So starting with you, Bruno, how do you feel it all went?
It's exactly the result that this format of competition was designed for. If you've got a presence and you've got a coffee that you want to share with people and you can put that up, then you have an opportunity to win. And we had 3 people first time competitors. That never happens in Australia. Never, especially in Brewers. That'd be the last place it'll happen, and Bristol would be second last. Yet it was proven that yes, you can turn up with something you want to present to us and have a lovely tasting coffee, and look, you can win. It's exactly what this was designed to do. Anyone should be able to come up here and win in any category if you have the skill set, because this is what grassroots is. It's the skill set. You don't become an AFL footballer if you didn't do NAB when you were 7 and 8 and went through the normal systems that are available in all of the other codes. Our coffee competitions are exactly the same. This is now the grassroots where you come in at. But that can literally propel you to coffee stardom effectively.
Yeah.
So the results are great. Like, who was to know? And if people missed out, it wasn't because they weren't necessarily good enough, but these ones were better. So there you go.
I did hear some competitors that were quite disgruntled by the results, which, I get it. You invest a lot of time and money into these things sometimes, so it can be a bit disheartening when you don't win. But I mean, I think the best people progressed, to be honest, from what I saw. Like the presentations, they just nailed it. And some people had some things go wrong on the day, and that's just very unlucky. But again, I think this is the one you got most correct. And I think the new generation of Australian brewers, it's good to see a new crop of talent, which again, that's what you wanted to see. So, but to that end, do you think you'll be able to open up more places for people to compete in the next few years? So I think we had 18 brewers. It's like, there's probably 50 to 60 that want to compete. So
absolutely. Look, the idea now is to watch those participation rates climb. Obviously, we've now put together the package. This is what this looks like. People have seen it. Competitors who competed in it and had a go this first time, got the ground floor entry level, they loved it. We have had so much positive feedback that I was overwhelmed. And the fact that competitors would come up to me and tell me these were the best competitions we've ever had straight off the bat, I was like, hang on a minute, we haven't even got there yet. Because obviously operationally in the background, we know where we fell short. But from the outside perspective and from the participation, the competitors' participation, it was seamless and it was smooth and it was something that they were happy with. I'm sure that there was at least that many more watching on to see what this was all about. And I reckon they'll put their hand up next year for sure. And if we get those participation rates, we can make the thing bigger. So it will be bigger. It will grow. And
I think going back to what you said before, I think it was you, Emily, that said it, that having the coffee weekend attached to the event was an overwhelming success. So congratulations to the organisers of that. The coffee weekend was a massive success, and I think having the event attached to it, it's just all about the vibe. And I know you were like, please don't take this as me giving you guys a whack, but if I contrast this with what the National Barista Championships were this year, so it held out in a building that was a bit less accessible for some people to get to. There were nowhere near as many people there, and it was harder to keep people there throughout the day. And then you have it attached to this event where people can go and get a coffee between things and go and be entertained and speak to hundreds, if not thousands of people. I mean, that's got to be how we approach it going forward, right?
Yeah. And I mean, that's our first try. And we're super happy of the result. So now is how do we make it happen for other regionals? How do we make it happen for all the nationals? And how do we build it at scales and make sure that we always provide a weekend that is about specialty coffee, that is about coffee everyone was so excited. Everyone was talking about coffee. Everyone was happy to be there. And the community sense, for me, it was probably one of the first time I was seeing it in Australia. And I've been here for over 5 years. That's a feeling that I want to associate to the competition. Yes, of course, it's a competition, but can we bring people all together and celebrate coffee as well?
And just to take a backward step for a second, so I just realised I hadn't probably explained what the coffee weekend was. So basically, what happened was the organisers, Alicia Feng was one of them, good local here, and basically what happened was there was a theme of Japanese coffee roasters, and we invited a bunch of well-known coffee roasters from Japan to come and have a stand at the coffee weekend.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a trade show where everyone's brewing coffee, and thousands of people attended that. And within the same building, we were having the Community Coffee Championships. And so, you could just go and do so much throughout the whole weekend. And, you didn't really have to stick around in one part of the building for the whole time. And I just think that's the format from now on. Like if you can manage it, it's like having that entertainment around, because, sometimes you're waiting between routines, but then you can go catch up with any number of people that you know. And it was just really, really, I really liked that element to it. But
I think you've identified something super important there. I mean, for years we've seen with these competitions, people come to compete or they stick around to watch their friends and then they twiddle off and they go off and do something else. And then they might come back for the announcements, or maybe they don't even do that, And so the challenge that we've always had is keeping people engaged. I mean, I know that we've had some guys that have tried really, really hard, like Oatly bring in cornhole so that everyone can play cornhole off in the corner, and we need the community to bring that energy as well. And we saw that this weekend. And I think you touched on something really important before, which is that you don't want to be critical. And I think you should. I think that we exist because we have an industry that needs us. Yeah. And so you being critical tells us what we need to do and shows us what the community wants. I mean, that's the most important part. We have that same criticism of the events ourselves, and knowing that is so important.
A big key takeaway I get from this whole thing is, though, that the Specialty Coffee Association in Australia and everywhere in the world is worth investing in.
100%.
It's really worth investing in. So not like, say for example, you're a sponsor, like you're really getting behind something pretty, like, I don't know what it means in terms of sales, but like, I don't think that's really what all companies sponsoring events are really after. It's like, you're supporting your own community. And then, this year I've been to Dubai and I've been to Jakarta. And so I attended the World of Coffee at both. And in overseas, not here, and I understand there'd be many countries in the same boat as Australia, but overseas, like a lot of countries are investing in their domestic coffee scene. So, for example, the UAE Tourism Board is getting behind World of Coffee and competing to have the event held in Dubai. And it's the same with, I interviewed Daryanto Witarsa, I think that's his surname, who's basically the president of the Specialty Coffee Association in Indonesia. And, he's a government official now. So he was able to lobby for funding to get the World of Coffee in Jakarta. And that was a massive success. And, the level of dignity that it brought to coffee professionals in Indonesia was amazing to see. And to that end, I'd really hope that we can get that level of support from, well, it doesn't have to be as much, but some level of support from our local government here. So, why is it worth investing? Well, Australia, Melbourne has such a rich history and great reputation when it comes to coffee in general. Supporting these things that uplift the coffee culture, I think, is so worthwhile. Do you ever have discussions with anyone in government?
Oh, it's not through lack of asking, let me tell you. Obviously, we run on under a sponsorship model. Obviously, there are entry fees and membership fees, but they don't go anywhere near close to even paying for a competition to run at the standard that we run them at now. And I have asked a number of government officers for assistance with funding, Tourism Australia, Tourism Victoria, Visit Victoria. Like, I've gone to government a number of times and we have never got $1 of assistance from them. So all of our time and energies in terms of the board and all the volunteers that are the backbone of the competition scene is literally because it's about passion and love for our industry. And we are respected the world over. Everyone in the world is looking at Australia and looking at Melbourne. Right? And yet here we're the most despised. Every other country has assistance from companies, government, all sorts of avenues where they have larger numbers than us. Okay, I get that. Population, fine. But they have a level of support which if we had here, we could make our industry so much better. It'd be off the charts, it'd be astronomical. We need our community here, our companies here to get involved, support the community, the coffee community, so that it can make the whole thing better. Without that support, we can't do this. We can't grow.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I think, you think of basically the, I guess you could say the effectiveness, the efficacy, the quality of an Australian cafe, right? And, the labor costs are really high here. The cost for everything's really high here, to be honest, like proportionally to the rest of the world. And then, I've been to some of these countries that I mentioned earlier, and it's like the wages are so low. They can have someone whose designated job is to pour water all day or take someone's coat. That's how easy it is. And even still, like the quality that we churn out with so much less resources in some of those regards is extremely high and, world respected. I've been to Japan and bumped into people that I've worked with previously. I'm like, what the hell are you doing here? And they're like, oh, well, I came to Australia to learn how to make coffee and bring it home here. And it happens all the time. And so like, even though like we're constrained in some ways and less competitive in a lot of ways, when we buy coffee, it's in US dollars. Our currency is very weak right now. Even still, like it's been a few hard years for the industry, but like, got to give yourself a pat on the back collectively, because like through all that, a lot of people are surviving and still doing quite well.
And I think that's what we want to celebrate as well. We want to throw events that give people that moment where they realise that being in specialty coffee is something really special. I mean, each one of us can probably, name 10 people that we've met through our journey that have absolutely changed the path of our career and have inspired us or given us that one coffee that makes you feel something or changes your mindset. And so to get people out of the day-to-day, to get people out of those cafes and to get them into a community where they can feel that again. And I know I felt that for the first time in a long time when we were at the event the other week. And I know that a lot of people did. And that's what a event should be. And that's what this community part of the Community Coffee Champs is. It's giving people that realization of, man, I'm so glad I stuck with this. And I have the best career and industry to work in the world.
You know what I like to see, just off the cuff thought? I'd love to see more home baristas getting into a competition, because there's really there's no reason why you can't, to be honest. I think there's a stigma around that. It's like, oh, I'm not good enough. I'm not trained enough. Well, I mean, if you're a home brewer making filter coffee, you have the means to be able to, in Australia, you have the means to be able to practice and compete in what is now the Community Coffee Championships. You can do it.
Just on that point, we had so many volunteers this year that were outside of coffee.
Yeah, completely outside.
Like huge shout out to all of them that came out and just put their hand up and jumped in. We had one of the volunteers who's now been with us for half a year, and he ended up coming in and getting us in as a scribe and was borderline on the judging panel.
Is this Anshul?
Can we just give a shout out? Because he's going to be so chuffed.
He's going to compete.
Oh, no, he's a lovely guy.
He was our success story, but we had a few. And this is the thing. Yeah. Come along. Seriously, we would be so happy to meet all of you. Like there is no, we're trying to drop that elitist. We're here to hold your hand and make sure that you're happy and well, and come along. Please.
Get involved.
Please.
All you got to do is get involved.
Well, but I mean, I think you're exactly right, and I would love to invite as well, more sponsors to get involved in a big way, because it, like I said before, it's so worth investing in, and I think this is just like the beginning of something that we'll realize the success of it, 4 or 5 years from now. But I think there's so much further we can go, and obviously the format of how you ran this is here to stay. Quick question. Are you going to break some news about when the Nationals are on this podcast? It's not going to be released for another week. So if you've got some news that you can break, I'm happy to have the exclusive scoop.
We are working feverishly. It is actually extremely difficult to get venues, which has pushed us back a little bit on our original planning, which was September, into sort of the November, December space. We are literally on the cusp of signing up a venue.
Here in Melbourne?
Here in Melbourne, yes, it'll be here in Melbourne. It looks like it'll be somewhere in the early mid-December range.
Early mid-December.
Yeah, so we're going to give everyone a Christmas present by the look of things.
See, I kind of like that because I was planning a bit of travel. It works for me. It's convenient for me.
That's why you're asking, isn't it?
we have had a very jam-packed, like September and that is very jam-packed with a lot of international events all happening all at once. And we've even got, Fine Foods and the AFL Grand Final here and SAJ and Malaysia and Singapore have all got their coffee expos on, all in that sort of month to 6 weeks. So it's a very jammed sort of space in the year. So pushing out a bit further is actually going to give us a bit more time and a bit more space to be able to have a really meaningful event, which we're trying. Obviously, we have the blueprint now on what was successful. What we're trying to do is then expand that to our nationals and make it the next level again. So that same sort of atmosphere, if we can create and we can keep that engagement going, that's what we're on about. And if people want to get involved, we do need sponsors. We need their assistance. We need more respect for the association and our industry as a general rule, which we will work towards as we're going forward. We're doing a lot more things off the side of competitions now, which is what ASCA was intended to do, but has never done. So we are all actually actively working on other things outside of competitions. This was just like, okay, we've got the blueprint, we've got success, we know what it looks like, everyone's on board. We need more sponsors now to come on board and be part of this because, your reputation goes up by association.
And I'm going to give those sponsors the biggest shout out. It'll be such an epic shout out if you get on board and sponsor ASCA. Like, it'll be really worth a shout out if you do it.
We are now getting inquiry for the first time.
Oh, good.
So I have had inquiries from others just coming to me as opposed to me going out, hand in cap and beg, borrowing and stealing whatever I can to make these things go. We actually have now had people going, hey, how do we get involved? I get emails going, oh, we'd like to get involved. What can we do? How do we go about it? So I'm feverishly working on all of those, but we certainly we've got space for everyone to get involved. And if everyone gets involved, we create more community. We galvanize everyone. And that flows through to everyone at grassroots and down the food chain. So all of these companies that sponsor, will eventually find a return on this down the track. We have now deliverables. We have hard and fast data, and Jen could probably speak to that more than me, in terms of, we have live streaming numbers. We have our social media numbers going up. We have our engagement with our website and all of that sort of stuff, all through the roof. It basically did nothing for the last 20 years, 22, 23, 24, what are we up to, 25 years? So it's probably done nothing for the last 23 of those years. At the moment, Jen can speak to the engagement levels are through the roof. I see the numbers. I don't know what they mean because I'm not the IT guy. Everyone probably knows that.
I was waiting for that sentence.
But, when they tell me it's, 3, 4, 5,000 people looking at it online or the average engagement time is 15 minutes, I'm like, what is that all? What's that all about? And then they tell me that the average time is 1.5 minutes or 3 minutes. And I'm like, well, that's good. So all of those. He
does glaze over, for the record.
we now have a hard and fast set of deliverables that, actually can give some sort of return on investment to those sponsors who get involved. Like, for the money that we actually put or ask for, you could not get that level of engagement. I think I'm pretty safe to say that.
You're quite safe.
Yeah, and I think that that's a fair point as well, that we needed to give back more to sponsors to keep them or get new ones. We need now, I think we did really well this year. We need to do even better in the coming years, but it's also giving back to the membership. I think for me, next year is a big priority. We need them. How do we get them more engaged? How do we keep them? How do we get new ones as well? On a money perspective, but also on a community perspective, we want everyone who is working in specialty coffee or likes specialty coffee, home brewers, to be a part of it and find in ASCA answers, support, and look up to it.
with what I was saying before about participation in Brewers, and I guess it's more so a question of capacity, right, than it is participation, because the participation's there. How can we increase the capacity going forward? Because I feel like a lot of people I'd hate to feel like someone really good might miss out just because they couldn't get a ticket. So,
Well, as I said, in this next year, obviously we've done our regional events, and we'll end up with our nationals later on this year. But then our next set will start pretty much early on in 2026 for the following year. We will open up as much space as we possibly can, with the constraints in terms of our ability to put on a regional event. So as long as we have the time and space available, we won't cap numbers.
yeah, well, I feel like this is something you ran it really, really on time this year.
Yeah.
I know, like, keeping it on time is a challenge, but like that's part of the success of the whole thing, right? Like, like with this podcast, I consider it a product that people consume, and try and make it as listenable as I can, treat my audience as if they're customers, and so on. And I feel like it's a good approach to sort of taking to an event like that as well. So, keeping it on time, people can reliably see that's there and go on time and view it, and having that good streaming service, which I know is a challenge. Like, that takes a lot of infrastructure.
You did see me panic a little bit.
Well,
But she
like,
did all of it.
but that was one of the successes. And I think to that end, like, one of the layers that I think collectively we can build on, and, I know it's a tough ask of a regional competition in a particular country, but having all of this there for people to consume remotely as well. It's such a thing that we can aspire to. And I just think going forward, if there is that increase in funding, sponsorship and stuff like that, that's an area where I'm like, all right, we can capture more people by doing that.
So to that end, why did we cap it at 18? Because at some point we needed to cap it for Brewers is time and human power. Because, well, you've seen how much we did in 2 days, a Saturday, Sunday. There's a lot of competitors, a lot of people. We ran on time, but it took us the whole day. So if you want to see more Brewers, if you want to see more Latte art, would love to, we need an extra day. Extra day means judges, means volunteers, means us as well, taking days off, and means, just more money as well to pay that extra day for a particular venue. So 100% we would love that. Just a little constraint with all of this. So good message to put out there. Would love to. We'll need a little bit extra support and more judges as well, because that's the difficulty.
What I'd like to say, if there's any of the employers out there who have any of the ASCA board or those people who are judges and volunteers, cut them a bit of slack.
Give them a paid day.
Please give them the opportunity to be able to put into our competitions as volunteers, because that will come back to that company tenfold. I assure you. If you let people go for that one day, paid, unpaid, whatever, time in lieu, there are a number of mechanisms they could use. That will greatly support the association, which will greatly support the industry, which will come back to that company. Because the skills that those people learn as judges goes directly back to where they work. And the competitors getting better goes directly back to where they work. And all of us are all unpaid volunteers. If those employers out there, when they get that request, could work out a way that they could allow that to happen, that would go a long way to us being able to expand that and have those extra days, as Emiline told you. Like, it costs money and it costs time, people resources. So we need people to cut a bit of slack on that side to allow them to come, so that they're not worried about losing their job because they've got to come and judge or come to calibration on Friday and have to take Friday off from work. So I understand the difficulties on all sides, but I assure you the repayment going back into your organisation with all of these people's collective input into our competitions and the association, it will be there. But we need a bit of help.
Networking. A lot of us can say we found our next job through competition, through the community. It's a relationship-based industry. So being involved you will get something out of it. And whether it's a new friend, an ex-employer, but you will get something out of it, 100%.
So with the Nationals, are we going to have a coffee festival attached to it as well?
You're
or-
asking a lot of secret questions here,
well,
Kirk, aren't you?
We are always generally looking to have something extra.
An attached event?
We will try and do the best we can to come up with something a bit special.
I feel like there's a few secrets you're keeping from me,
We
Bruno.
are keeping a few secrets because
That's the fun.
if anyone wants to get involved, obviously from that point of view, please get in touch with us. You can fire in emails to president at ASCA or info at ASCA or competitions at ASCA. I do look at all those accounts. But if anyone wants to get involved with our nationals for an exhibition space or some sort of activation, we'd be very interested to hear from you.
How do you handle disgruntled competitors when? Because I did hear through a few back channels that there were a number of disgruntled competitors, and you're going to get them in every competition. So I mean, I trust the integrity of the judging. I think there's quite a high standard of judging at these competitions, and people take it quite seriously. So starting with you guys over there, how do you kind of handle it? The disgruntlement, I guess.
Everyone gets heard, right? I think that's the most important point that we need to make on this, is that it is a safe space to not feel comfortable with your scores. It is a safe space to feel like you probably had an issue throughout your routine. The first line of defense on that is that we do have things like technical timeouts, right? If somebody does feel that mid-routine something happens to their equipment that isn't up to scratch, they put their hand up and we call a technical timeout. We have a very strict policy of basically going over these things afterwards. They all get taken very seriously. If we need to rerun, if somebody feels that their routine wasn't what they thought it was, we've rerun a lot of performances and a lot of routines. We had quite a few at the Nationals, Latte art this year, for example, that things happen. And we're humans. We all are. The same way that a competitor on stage might have a fumble and accidentally drop a dripper, we might accidentally hit a stopwatch at the wrong time, or we might accidentally do something. Especially in the CCC, we have new judges, new volunteers, and people that are also trying to use that as a pathway to move through. So if there are concerns, everybody is heard. And sometimes things are unfounded, sometimes they are founded, but we make sure everyone gets the opportunity to speak.
And I was really interested in some criticism I heard was towards some of the people that placed in the Brewers competition, and it was because of their use of Ugandan coffee and co-fermented coffee, and some people were disgruntled. Well, I bought a Panama Geisha. On paper that's a better coffee. And it's like, you're kind of missing the whole point.
That's exactly right. That's the point of the competition.
I often think about this, like a lot of people know how to drive, right? You get in your car, you go down the highway, you're doing great. Nobody's criticizing you and you drive wonderfully. This is like passing your license test. There is a completely different set of parameters that you need to tick to be able to get past those judges, right? It is a score sheet with strict boxes of tick, tick, cross, cross, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, when you're driving normally, you might not make a point of doing a really loud head check so that everyone can see that you're looking around, but you've got to do that in comps. You put numbers in those boxes, you win. That's the game. It is a game that we're all playing, and you're trying to put numbers in those boxes.
Look, disgruntled competitors, it's generally a lack of understanding, right? They don't understand a lot of the time how they were judged or why they were judged in a particular way. As judges, we can't coach them. So it's a fine line. It's a WCC thing, and we can't tell you how to improve. We can tell you what happened, and you need to read between the lines to work out what you need to do to improve for next time. Our CCC format was a lot less onerous, and we were a lot more generous with our input for them. And, as I say to the judges before we start, there's going to be one happy person, the one who wins, and there's going to be however many competitors are, they're going to be unhappy. And you've got to be clear in your mind that you have the right person who's won, because then you're going to have to tell number 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 why they weren't that person. I make that abundantly clear before we start every judging, workshop and or calibration, because that's very important that they understand that one person is going to be happy and all the rest are going to be very unhappy for whatever reason. If we can give them enough information for them to be comfortable to understand why they weren't number one, then we've done our job as a judge. What the competitors fail to understand is they don't read the rules most of the time. It's all laid out there pretty much. And I've said that ad nauseum for 25 years, but we'll keep saying it. It's all in there. And interpretation of those is, yes, always sometimes questionable, can be. But the information on your score sheet should give you more than enough information now. Given the caliber and the quality of our judging process, our process is second to none. Our judges are acclaimed worldwide. Any of our judges who are WCC certified and go to Worlds, they're first pick. And then they'll go through everyone else. So I have complete and utter faith in our judging process, and I have confidence that we have the right person winning. If you're disgruntled about, oh, you should have got an extra point here and there, it's not going to make a difference to the outcome in terms of where you finished. If it does, then yeah, it could be an issue. And, if you come second by 1 point, you're going to be scrounging through your score sheet automatically as a human being to find that 1 point. We don't just sit there and just change scores just because you want it to be the way you want it to be. It's the way it is because that's the way the cards fell that day. And as you mature, and you're one of those people, you will understand that process a bit better. Generally, the disgruntled ones are the ones who haven't done it before and don't understand how that was a rule was applied or how that score came to be. So we don't it's not a hidden thing. It's not the judges against the competitors. And we're going to open that up a bit more in this coming year. We're going to be having workshops throughout the year for judges and competitors to go to so that everyone can really understand how this is applied, so that those sort of disgruntledness or unhappy, I'm unhappy if a competitor's unhappy. And I tell them, and they fail to realise, I'm on their team. I'm actually on their team. I'm here to make sure that you have the best opportunity to present what you want to present and have a flawless presentation. I'm here for you. That's why I'm doing this. And they think that we're the enemy or I'm the enemy. I'm actually the guy on your side. If something goes wrong, I'll fix it. If you've been harshly done by, I will sort it. As Jen said, if I need to rerun you and there's a legitimate reason to rerun you, we will rerun you. If there's a legitimate reason for anything to happen, I will always err on the side of the competitor. I'm on their team. I want them to succeed. This whole CCC, we always have people, especially first time, DQing themselves. It's rampant. My whole purpose in CCC was to stop competitors DQing themselves. I was working with the competitors in the back of stage while everyone else was doing their thing. So I was helping them to make sure they didn't just do something silly that was going to DQ them. And we have a clean sheet of no DQs across the whole country. I'm good. I gave them every opportunity to succeed and put forward their best presentation. However that is, you need to then accept that, this is where you're at. Everyone's at a level. We're not all top tier competitors and we're in the middle, we're down the bottom. That's your journey. You've just started. You need to now just improve and keep, reveling in your opportunity to be on stage and give us this performance. Like it's almost, everyone thinks it's a God-given right. It's an opportunity for you to put forward what you want to present to us. You shouldn't take that lightly either. The judges certainly are not. They're willing to be overawed by your presentation, your experience in the cup and all the rest of it. They want to score you high. They're looking for an amazing cup of coffee. It's up to you to put it on the table at the end of the day. So, they're disgruntled because they don't understand. And I understand that too. But, if they genuinely feel like they've been aggrieved, reach out to us. We will listen, as Jen said.
There are channels for it. Look, we've been going for nearly an hour, so I want to do a round table. I want everyone to kind of say, all right, well, we've had this discussion. What's one thing you would want to kind of see in the next 5 years added on top, right? So for me, it's like this storytelling, like being able to profile the baristas before they arrive on the day. I think I rant about this all the time, but yeah, especially at the world level, it should be done. But a lot of the time we just rock up, see people compete, and we don't really understand them, before they arrive. And I feel like being able to profile someone beforehand, so you have a bit more information, is kind of really important. Like, I gave the example of Drive to Survive, the Formula One show. It's like, well, that's half the interest around Formula One now is because of that show and, the drama and all that sort of stuff. And, Christian Horner gets fired. Where's Max Verstappen going to drive next year and all that sort of stuff. And I just think, that storytelling of the competitors and having that kind of, not just me telling it, but multiple podcasts, multiple publications, and I think everyone would win from that. That's my 2 cents.
Well, we did actually do that this year. We actually did profile them on social media. So we had, in the lead up to all of the competitions, we put forward our team that was on the ground, and then we put forward all the competitors in what are those things called, carousels or whatever, on the social media. So we did actually try to bring that into the new space, and we'll continue to try and do that into nationals now in the lead up. So yeah.
But I think at the world level, this should start, like with just the SEA or the World Coffee Championship should be kind of keeping a tab on this. And I'm going to be doing some work in the lead up to the World Brewster Championship to do some of this. And I'm hoping I can attend the World Brewster Championship in Milan. So I'm working towards that.
Well, what we need is somebody to say, hey, give us the platform so we can actually get our competiters to be introduced to a wider audience.
There you go. I've done it.
We'd be open to anyone to, expand that because there's a lot of competitors across a lot of disciplines. And, yeah, if we can give them more airplay, we're all the better for it.
Emiline?
I think for me, really, ASCA is about community again. I give back to that. So I think seeing ASCA as the place where competitors want to be a part of, judges want to be a part of, and anyone from this industry want to be a part of, I think I'll be really, really proud to have been part of this. I've always said we need a Netflix show in specialty coffee. I believe in it 100%. That would help us 100 times. In the meantime, yeah, I think just everyone coming around ASCA and helping out so we can get education. We can, what do you want to see? But also be ready that I'm not going to be the only one to do it. As you said, full-time job. I do that on my weekend, at night, all of us. So we are a bit constrained by time. And if you want to help, if you have an idea, come with the idea, but also come with the will to make this idea happen. And I used to be a barista trainer. So that's what I was saying. This year, I'd love to bring back a bit of education. It's not going to be every week, right? But bringing back a few courses, helping out with the workshop for judges. I really believe that judges are amazing, and you learn so much in terms of sensory and giving back to people. And yeah, I really believe that being a judge is amazing for your personal career as much as a professional. But yeah, just I want to be involved in that side as well. Great for competition, but competition shouldn't be the only thing that we're all doing anymore at ASCA. I think you said that very well. Let's do education. Let's bring the world to us with the help of other SCA association. And let's be a hub, hub of people are happy to be a part of, or sometimes in the past, people were maybe not so happy to be part of it. So community, I think for me, is really what I want to see in the next 5 years.
I like it. Janabella?
I'm going to give you an abstract answer as well. So
love it.
I think we've really pushed the boundaries of what a specialty coffee association is this year. And if you think about what a specialty coffee association does, it needs to be more than just run comps, right? Because that's the core competency of us, is sending people to worlds. We haven't for years pushed the boundaries of what else can we do. And this year we got really brave. We did things that I don't think we've even considered, that we'd even spoken about. And I want to continue to be really brave. And I want to continue to do the things that are auxiliary to the core of what we do. So that would be things like education, events, anything and everything that really provides value to the community. We exist for the community.
Yes.
We don't exist for us. And we don't exist just for the 3 people or 5 people that we get to send overseas. And so for me, I want to see us keep being brave. what you said before, I genuinely sat back and went, I'm so excited. Let's do it. I've got 10 ideas. Netflix, bring it on, right? Let's do it. But we need to keep being brave. And that's what's really changed this year as a board, as a community. We haven't just accepted that we are an organisation that does the bare minimum. So I don't think there's one thing. I think I could speak for hours about the things that I'm excited for us to achieve. And I'm sorry, that's the least direct answer you're going to get out of me, but that's what I want. I want a brave community that continues to do things that we're not comfortable doing.
I'll allow it. I like it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, sign us off, Prez, and make sure you're speaking to the mic.
As the ladies have touched on, education is going to be a big thing as we move forward. We're going to be doing a lot more in that sort of space. We're going to be doing a lot more advocacy for our industry. I'm literally off to Indonesia in a couple of days to sign an MOU with the Indonesian government and ASCA to create more coffee trade between our two nations and to have more bilateral education, events, participation, promotions, all that sort of stuff. And we've also lined up a number of the ASEAN Coffee Federation members to do the same. So we'll be hooking up with Singapore, Malaysia, and the whole of the ASEAN Coffee Federation moving forward as well.
Making moves.
So we have made these things are not yet been made public. So you're the first to hear about them. But this is how we're moving forward. As I said, we're doing other things other than competitions. We're doing competitions at the highest level, and we'll continue to do those. But we are working feverishly behind the scenes to create these other opportunities, which will be ancillary to competitions, which we need to have.
Yeah. And
so all these other things will come.
I think the importance of having a strong, healthy, functioning organisation really, really is important because, you said it as well with the networking,
Yes.
If you're doing this work that's better for the country, better for the scene, and then other sort of companies that, work with the organisation loosely or, directly can kind of, improve their own pathways to certain outcomes. So, I think that's really good. And having a strong leadership from the organisation, an organisation that's healthy, is really important. So
there's also another thing. If I'll touch on it before you sign off, bigger picture, because everyone sort of has a very small tunnel vision and a narrow focus. I have a very wide focus, and we've been brave, as you said, Jen. But bigger than that, we need our industry respected. Our industry is not respected. So following on from all these things, and I'll reach out to anyone listening who has any contacts within the space that I'm about to expand on, I want to talk to them. We need to get the barista profession recognised as a profession. It is currently not. Most of our students who come over and people who are interested in coffee, who want to seek residency here or move to Australian citizenship, can't get it because the barista profession is not recognised as a profession. It's not a lawyer, it's not a doctor, it's not a this, it's not a that. We want education programs that are Australian. We need people in the education and the TAFE sector or the university sector to join with us to create the curriculum, to have a standardised platform where there are different levels of attainment for baristas, roasters, all of our people that is recognised at a government level, that then is on the census form. I want to be able to tick, I'm a damn barista. I'm not a bartender, because that's all you can tick right now. The whole system and our TAFE system of education around coffee is rubbish, right? We collectively are trying to work towards an Australian system that is reflective of our industry, what we do on the ground, that is recognised by a certificate level at TAFE, which is then linked to a pay rate. So that if you're a part of the specialty coffee industry and you're level 1, your pay rate you should be able to expect is X. That doesn't stop your employer from offering you more money. But at least you know that you climb that ladder, you can expect a significant pay rise or a pay rate of X, Y, or Z.
Well, I think
as every other profession is.
I think that's really good. And it conceptually, like it needs to happen because I've got a business now, right? So as an employer, if I have someone that's got meaningful, proven, and effective training in vocational education, for example, it makes it, say, for example, I can hire them knowing they can maintain equipment, pull apart a grinder and safely put it back together and clean it properly, like all those sorts of things. Like, one, having the skill set, but giving value to employers. I think one of the a lot of Australian cafe owners right now are hamstrung by high costs of labor. Like, I understand a barista wage isn't like, a stockbroker's, but the wages here are high for cafes compared to the rest of the world. Australia's probably got some of the least profitable cafes by percentage.
We have the lowest price for coffee around the world.
Yeah,
as well. That's the problem
in the developed world for sure. So I really do agree with that, and I think one day we're probably going to head towards. I don't really see having less barista jobs available, but more high-paying ones as a bad thing. It's kind of a dream of mine. I hope that your more successful coffee shops will be able to facilitate that perhaps in the future with enhanced automation and systems and things like that. But I'm with you. I'm with you, Prez. I think that that will do really well, and it's a core need and good thing for our industry, which is world class and should be 100%. Respected. But look, we'll leave it there. I could talk to you for hours, but thanks so much for coming on. I'm really encouraged by the progress of the industry, and I'm happy to lend my support where I can. And you heard some of the breaking news here about when the Nationals will be, kind of. But hey, if you want me to do a special edition breaking the news, happy to do so. But thank you all so much for coming on and being so generous with your time and giving value back to our listeners.
We appreciate it, and hopefully it reaches the right people, and we can get a lot of feedback from everyone from this thing. This be great.
I should mention my own sponsor, which is Time More. So Time More helped me make this happen. So Time More, timemore.com. You need grinders, hand grinders, kettles, scales, you name it, they've got it. Time More, visit your local distributor.
Maybe they'll be our next sponsor, Kirk.
Today. Maybe there's more breaking news. I don't know. No, I hope they do get behind it because, they're a good bunch of guys. They've supported me. So with that, thanks so much, everyone, for listening in. Hooroo!